3 brutal truths about starting a business from zero that will haunt you forever. The night was thick with tension, the kind that wraps around you like a suffocating blanket, as Joey stared at his crumpled business plan. The dim light of his flickering bulb cast eerie shadows in the room, reminding him of the creeping doubts that danced through his mind. He could almost hear the whispers of failed entrepreneurs, warning him that the road ahead was littered with harsh truths. These weren't just lessons, they were brutal confrontations that would claw at his spirit and haunt his every waking moment. First was the cold realization: starting a business often means stepping into a dark abyss. It wasn't just about selling products or services, it was about wrestling with the demons of self-doubt and fear. Vibrant dreams flashed before him, a kaleidoscope of colors swirling with possibility, but they were shadowed by a nagging truth: most businesses don't survive. Images of closed signs and empty storefronts haunted him, each one a ghostly reminder of dreams turned to dust. A chill crept up his spine. How many stories start with hope and end in despair? As Joey leaned back in his chair, the creak of the old wood echoed like a warning bell. He thought about the sacrifices he would have to make. The missed birthdays, the late nights, the endless struggle against failure. A real tightness clenched around his chest as he envisioned himself standing alone at a grimy diner, looking out at the empty streets, a heavy weight of regret poised over him. Would he be just another name on a list of forgotten dreams? How many friends would he lose along the way? Each question sent a shiver through him, pulling him deeper into uncertainty. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But it didn't stop there. The final grim truth struck him with the force of a freight train: the crushing loneliness. Being your own boss was supposed to be liberating, yet the reality often felt like an isolating prison. He could feel an invisible barrier forming around him with every passing day: friends who didn't understand, family who didn't believe, all slowly fading away. The silence of his empty home echoed, amplifying a sense of desperation. It crept into his soul, gnawing at his resolve. Was this loneliness the price of ambition? What did it mean to sacrifice connection for the hope of success? In that moment, Joey felt a pang of fear shoot through him. What would tomorrow bring? Would he wake up to find his dreams slipping further out of reach? As the shadows grew longer, he knew it was time to decide: would he still take the plunge, or would he step back and play it safe? The choice loomed large, enveloped in a thick haze of uncertainty. The clock ticked on, echoing his racing heart, as he pondered that one crucial question: what if he found himself haunted by a truth more terrible than any failure? Joey's heart raced as he faced the reality of his impending decision. The shadows stretched menacingly around him, whispering warnings that curled like smoke in the air. He glanced at the clock. Midnight was approaching, and with it, the weight of his dreams felt unbearably heavy. He had always been the type to shove doubt aside. But tonight, the doubts were like a chorus growing louder, more insistent. What if I fail? Echoed in his mind, a taunting refrain. What if I fail and nobody cares? Suddenly, the phone buzzed, jolting him out of his spiraling thoughts. He picked it up, half expecting it to be a distraction he couldn't afford. But when he saw the name on the screen, his stomach twisted. It was Lisa, his best friend from college, the one person who had always believed in him. Their late-night discussions about dreams and aspirations on that ragged couch felt like a lifetime ago. He hesitated, but ultimately hit the answer button. Joey. Hey. I've been thinking about you. Her voice was a warm light in the dark. But he could hear the underlying tremor. She sounded apprehensive. Yeah, hey, Lisa. I'm in a bit of a mess here, he confessed, the weight of his doubts spilling over. What is going on? She asked, her concern palpable through the line. Everything feels impossible. I'm scared. I don't know if I can do this. The words came out in a rush, unfiltered and raw. There was a pause. I get it, Joey. It's terrifying. But do you remember our discussions? The risks? Everything we read about? Her voice cracked a bit, and in that moment, it felt like they were back on that couch. Think about all the people who went for it. They didn't just survive. They thrived. You can too. You just need to believe I'm trying. But what if it blows up in my face? What if I make the wrong decisions? The question hung heavy between them, like an anvil ready to drop. Sometimes, you have to leap into the unknown. That's where the adventure begins. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Fear can mean you care about what you're about to do. Joey clenched his fist, fighting back emotion. He needed to sign that lease. He had been dragging his feet. But every hour passed like a lifetime, pulling him deeper into uncertainty. His mind raced. What if everything went wrong? And if you do fail? Lisa's voice interrupted, causing him to clench his jaw. If you fail, you pick yourself up. You learn. You pivot. You start again. Having the courage to try is part of the journey. You are not alone. But what if he was? The darkness crept back in, a suffocating fog that pressed against his chest. Joey. She called, breaking through his internal turmoil. You need to make a choice. Is that dark abyss scaring you into inaction? Or are you going to take that leap? He felt his heart pounding, each beat sounding like a countdown. The clock ticked on, relentless. The line went dead. Lisa. He shouted into the silence. Panic rose in him. Had he lost her? The sudden disconnect mirrored his own chaotic thoughts. Frantically, he dialed her back, but the call wouldn't connect. Chills crept up his spine as he paced the room. Did something happen? Was he losing not just his dreams, but the people who mattered most? As anxiety swallowed him whole, he realized he was standing at a precipice. Either he took the leap into entrepreneurship or fell into the chasm of regret. The shadows seemed to whisper again, and this time their voice had changed. It was no longer about fear but an echo of challenge. Did he have the guts to face this head-on? His heart raced, and he swallowed hard. He had to decide. Joey took a deep breath, clenching the phone in his hand. Would he rise to this challenge? And then, just as clarity started to wash over him, he heard a faint scream from outside piercing through the night. He froze, breathless, as a feeling of dread washed over him. What was happening beyond the walls of his isolation? What had he stepped into? The scream echoed again, jolting Joey out of his thoughts. His instincts screamed for him to stay put, to lock the door and close the curtains. But something deep within him pushed him to investigate, to confront whatever darkness lurked beyond those walls. With every heartbeat, the tension clawed at his insides that he rushed to the window, peering out into the night. The streetlights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows. The normally quiet street was now alive with chaos. A small crowd had gathered, their faces painted with shock and a hint of horror. Joey's chest tightened. What had happened? He grabbed his jacket and rushed outside, feeling the cool night air smack against his skin. The air was thick with confusion, a palpable fear that almost felt like an entity of its own. He pushed through the gathering crowd, desperate to find out what was wrong. Did you see it? Someone whispered nearby, their voice trembling. Joey caught snippets of fragmented conversations. No, I heard a crash, something broke, then the screams. Joey's heart raced. What happened? He demanded, grasping the arm of a woman standing nearby. Her eyes were wide, glossed over with panic. A dog, she choked out, a sob cracking her voice. A dog attacked a kid. It came out of nowhere. Just then, he caught sight of flashing lights in the distance. Police sirens wailed like banshees, growing louder as they approached. A knot formed in Joey's stomach. This was no ordinary night. "Where's the kid?" he asked, scanning the area, desperation clawing at him. The woman shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "They're trying to help him. God, I hope he's okay." Feeling increasingly helpless, Joey stepped closer to the scene unfolding before him, a dark comedy of horror that felt surreal, like a scene from a film. Paramedics worked swiftly, their movements streamlined, a stark contrast to the chaos. A figure knelt next to a child, their cries a haunting melody that gnawed at Joey's conscience. Overwhelmed by the stark reality crashing down on him, he felt the burden of his own dreams fading. Just hours ago, he had been paralyzed by the thought of failure, but here, failure felt like an inescapable truth. He realized how fragile life truly was. One moment, everything is fine, the next, everything can unravel. As uncertainty washed over him, he asked himself again, what had he stepped into? This dark world, where dreams felt flimsy and the screams of the innocent echoed through the night, pressed down on him. Was it still a leap into entrepreneurship he feared, or was it the uncertainty of living in a world where chaos ruled? Suddenly, a commotion broke his thought spiral. A scream erupted again, but this one was different. Someone in the crowd shouted, pointing down the block. Joey's heart dropped as he turned to see a shadow darting through the alley. Panic surged through the throng of people, sending everyone into a frenzy. Instinctively, he took a step back, pulse racing. What was coming for them? As fear thrummed through the air, Joey felt a weight settle in his chest. A sense of impending doom hung over him like a storm cloud, and he wondered if he could face it alone. He glanced back toward the flashing lights, debating whether to join the chaos or run, but just as he decided, that shadow reappeared, darting into view again. This time, it wasn't a mere figment of his imagination. Something was seriously wrong. What was he about to uncover? The crowd surged, a wave of panic and uncertainty that seemed to swell with each heartbeat. Joey felt like he was standing at the edge of a precipice, caught between the chaos and his own instincts to flee. The flickering streetlights cast distorted shapes, shadows danced menacingly as the source of fear drew nearer. "Everybody, stay calm," a voice shouted, probably a police officer trying to maintain control. But the tremor in the man's voice suggested it was far too late for that. Joey's eyes darted around, searching for that fleeting shadow, heart pounding in rhythm with the anxious crowd. It felt like a movie, one where the audience was only a breath away from horror. Then, a flash. Someone screamed again, this one laced with primal fear. The figure emerged from the darkness, and Joey's skin prickled. A dog, wild and foaming at the mouth, charged into the light. Its eyes glinted with a feral madness. The crowd recoiled, gasping as the creature darted into a woman's legs, causing her to stumble. "Get back! Get away!" Someone yelled, but the dog was relentless, panting heavily as it tore through the throng like a bolt of lightning. Joey's breath came fast, and instinct screamed at him to move. He took a step forward, but then hesitated. What could he do? He was no hero, not in his head. Frantic whispers filled the air. Someone mentioned a child still in danger, a primal instinct rising beneath Joey's skin. A boy? No, he couldn't let that image form in his mind. Imagining the worst kept him paralyzed in place, trapped in that moment of indecision. He had to help. The scream cut sharply through the clamor, slicing directly into Joey's heart. It belonged to a small voice, lost and terrified, begging for rescue. The night's chaos retreated for just an instant, swallowed by gripping fear. That boy. Joey's pulse thundered, he had to do something. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, he surged forward. "Stay back!" he shouted, gaining attention. The dog turned its wild gaze toward him, instinctively freezing as if assessing a new threat. Joey felt the weight of his heart crash into his stomach. The scene shifted as Joey approached the child's last known location, the memory of that pleading cry echoing in his mind. He saw the figure of a child huddled against a car, trembling. Joey knelt down, desperately trying to make out the face amid the shadow. "Hey, buddy, I'm here. You're safe now." Then he realized. There was blood splattered on the pavement, smeared against the metal. Panic clawed at him, but he forced himself to remain calm. "I'm not gonna let anything happen to you," he said with more confidence than he felt, desperately searching for any sign of further danger. In that moment, everything froze. The boy's wide eyes met his, a kaleidoscope of fear and trusting hope. Joey reached out, ready to pull him into a hug, but a sudden growl ripped through the air. The dog lunged again, a frenzied ball of fury with gnashing teeth. Joey's heart dropped as he swung around, adrenaline surging once more. "Look out!" Someone shouted, but it was too late. Could he really fight this? The meaning of courage twisted within him as Joey realized he had a choice to make, a choice that could change everything, but just then, something flickered at the edge of the alley, half hidden in shadow. Joey's breath caught in his throat. Was someone or something else waiting to reveal itself, what had been unleashed in this darkness? The growl reverberated through the air, swallowing the chaotic noise around them. Joey's heart raced as he spun back towards the child, eyes wide with fear. Time slowed as the wild dog charged toward him, a blurred whirlwind of teeth and rage. Thoughts slammed against the walls of his mind. He had to protect the boy, he had to act. In that split second, he felt every heartbeat, every breath, every second of hesitation as a heavy weight. He grabbed a nearby trash can lid, a flimsy shield against an impending onslaught. His hands trembled, but he steadied himself. "Get behind me!" he shouted to the child, whose fragile figure remained frozen in fear. The dog hesitated, skidding to a stop just feet away, teeth bared and lips drawn back in a snarl. Joey felt the primal energy radiate from it, a palpable force that threatened to consume everything in its path. "And don't move," he added, trying to sound braver than he felt. The boy's wide eyes watched him, filled with a mixture of terror and admiration that made Joey feel both powerful and weak. He didn't want to let him down. The dog surged forward, and Joey raised the lid like a knight preparing for battle. With a desperate yell, he swung it in an arc. The clang of metal echoed as the lid connected with the dog's side, and for a brief moment, joy flickered within him. Yet, the creature barely flinched. It whipped around to face Joey again, unfazed, teeth snapping. Adrenaline coursed through him, but in an overwhelming wash of reality, Joey understood the futility of his makeshift weapon. Before he could think, the dog lunged again, and Joey ducked, adrenaline fueling his reaction. "Run!" he roared over his shoulder at the boy, who finally seemed to snap out of paralysis. The child's legs moved, but barely, fear still gripping him. Out of the corner of his eye, Joey saw the alley's depths beginning to shift. The shadows changed again, coiling and stretching. "Where are you?" he murmured, almost to himself, as he risked a glance that direction. More movement. This time, it wasn't just the dog. A figure uncoiled from the shadows. It was hunched, its silhouette indistinct against the dim light. Fear speared through him. What was coming? The boy screamed, a horrified, piercing sound that cut through the chaos, pulling Joey back to the immediate threat. The dog had resumed its charge, more determined than before. But Joey could see something else in its eyes now, desperation that mirrored his own. Was it just rabid rage, or was there something deeper? "Stay with me," he shouted, trying to focus. Thoughts raced through his head, he had to find a way out. Panic swelled in the crowd behind him like a tidal wave, people yelling and pushing past each other, desperate to escape. The dog turned, confused by the shifting crowd, and Joey took this pause to glance at the boy. "We need to go," he urged, making a quick decision. "Follow me." But then, the figure from the shadows stepped forward, pulling Joey's attention back. It was a person. A man, dark and disheveled, faces obscured by murky light, eyes glinting with an unsettling gleam. A chill swept down Joey's spine. Don't trust him," he shouted, and it was only then he noticed the blood-soaked handkerchief hanging from the man's pocket. The boy trembled, eyes darting between Joey and the intruder. "What do you want?" Joey gasped, the question barely escaping his lips. The chaos surged around them, but this dark figure stepped closer, a twisted smile unfolding. "Everything you think you know is just the beginning," the figure hissed, as the shadows contorted around him, swallowing the light whole. Joey's heart was racing again. This was no longer just about the dog. The true horrors of the night were just starting to unfold, and he could barely catch his breath. What was lurking in the dark waiting to be unleashed? The figure loomed closer, the twisted smile widening as if feeding off their terror. Each step it took was slow, deliberate, like a predator enjoying the hunt. Joey tightened his grip on the trash can lid, its edge digging into his palm. In an instant, he felt both desperate and hopeless, knowing he had little time to act. "Get back!" Joey shouted, raising the lid, feeling braver than he was. But the man only laughed, a chilling sound that sent a shiver racing down Joey's spine. "Foolish boy. You think you can save him?" The man glanced over Joey's shoulder at the child. "You don't even know what danger truly lurks in this city." In that moment, the wild dog shook its head, clearly agitated by the presence of the new threat. It panted heavily, muscles tense, caught between the instinct to attack and apprehension at the man in front of them. Joey could see the desperation in both. "Please." The boy whimpered, glancing between them, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Stay behind me." Joey barked, his voice sharp enough to pierce the confusion lingering in the boy's gaze. The stranger smirked, seeming to revel in the boy's dread. "You only prolong the inevitable. The city doesn't offer protection." His eyes gleamed with a predatory light, and Joey sensed something monstrous behind that facade. Suddenly, the dog lunged, teeth bared, but the stranger merely raised a hand. "Sit," he commanded, a voice drenched in authority. Astonishingly, the dog halted, confusion clouding its eyes, like a marionette caught in sudden silence. Joey froze, a mixture of awe and fury swirling inside him. He couldn't process this twist. Was the man controlling the animal? "The truth is a heavy burden," the man declared, stepping forward, shadows dancing around him. "You think you're a hero? But heroes are just fools who never learn." "Shut up!" Joey growled, fury boiling over. He swung the lid toward the man, fueled by a surge of protective instinct, but the man sidestepped, a laugh escaping him, mocking, contemptuous. The boy shivered, his fear palpable. In Joey's heart, the weight of responsibility pressed down harder. They were outmatched, and he knew it. His instincts screamed for them to flee, but the way was blocked. "Do you want to see what you're really up against?" The man taunted, gesturing toward the shadows that seemed to writhe and twist closer. "Look closer, boy." Joey's heart raced as he glanced back at the boy. Was this truly what awaited them? Those cold eyes glistened with dark promises. "Focus," Joey hissed, pulling the boy in close. "Whatever he is showing you, don't look." But the boy, trembling, glanced at the man, captivated by the nightmare unfolding. It's not just a dog, is it?" "No." Joey shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "Just listen to me." The shadows flickered, weaving stories of their own bloodshed, screams, bodies piled in alleys. Each vision was more horrific than the last, designed to mock their innocence, to ensnare them. "Look at what you could become." The man bellowed, the shadows swirling with power. "The real fight is just beginning." Joey felt the walls closing in. This was no mere beast before him, it was a manifestation of everything dark and terrible. In that moment, clarity struck. They had to escape not just the dog, but this terrifying specter of the city's decay. "Run!" Joey yelled, fueling his voice with every ounce of desperation as he shoved the boy toward the alley's exit. But suddenly, the ground trembled, and the shadows shifted again, spiraling into a dark vortex. Joey stumbled back, an unearthly howl rising from the depths, drowning out his thoughts. As the dog prepared to pounce, the ground beneath them cracked, creating a cacophony of chaos. Joey's heart raced, but now it was not just fear, it was a fierce determination. He locked eyes with the boy and yelled, "Stay close. Whatever happens, we're getting out of here together." But as the howl reached a crescendo, a blinding light shot from the void, illuminating the darkness with a searing reality. What awaited them on the other side? Were they truly ready to face whatever horror was about to be unleashed? The world exploded into chaos as the blinding light surged towards them, bright enough to sear the shadows back into retreat. Joey barely had time to shield his eyes before the darkness fractured, and they were engulfed in a whirlwind of energy. The boy screamed, a high-pitched sound that echoed against the walls, mixing with the howl of the void as they spiraled through an impossible torrent, time blurred and reality twisted. Joey felt his heart thundering against his ribs, the boy's terrified breaths fanning against his neck. Then with a sudden, jarring stop, they were thrown into a new place, one that felt both distorted and familiar. They landed hard on the ground, scraping their knees against rough concrete. Joey opened his eyes to a different scene, the air thick and heavy with a scent of smoke and despair. Dim streetlights struggled to illuminate the dilapidated buildings around them, casting eerie shadows that danced like specters across crumbling brick. Distant wails lingered on the breeze, echoes of agony mixed with a pervasive dread. "Where are we?" the boy whispered, his voice trembling, confusion etched across his face. "I don't know," Joey said, getting to his feet and brushing dirt off his clothes. "But we need to stay alert." Ahead of them, figures flitted between the shadows. Joey squinted, trying to make sense of the shapes. Were they real? Or just more illusions, more darkness wanting to draw them in? He stepped toward the closest silhouette, heart racing with both fear and adrenaline, but the figure melted away into nothingness, leaving behind only the heavy scent of despair. The boy gasped. "They just vanished." "Maybe that's the point," Joey muttered, scanning their surroundings. "This place, it feels like a trap." Suddenly, a low growl rumbled from the shadows. Joey's heart skipped a beat as he turned to see the dog, its eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. It prowled forward, every muscle taut, the very embodiment of a nightmare. "Joey!" the boy cried, backing away as the dog's growl morphed into a snarl, exposing its gleaming teeth. "No!" Joey shouted, adrenaline surging through him. "Stay behind me." As the beast lunged, Joey's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a long piece of debris from the ground, an old, rusted pipe, and raised it just in time to block the dog's jaws. The impact jolted him, a jarring shock shooting through his arm. He pushed against the weight of the beast, trying to keep it at bay. "Move!" Joey yelled, voice filled with urgency. He could feel the boy's panic radiating behind him. "We need to get out of here." The dog snarled, jerking back momentarily. Joey took the chance to grab the boy's hand and sprint through a narrow alley littered with trash and broken glass. Their footsteps echoed loudly, a cacophony against the eerie silence that lingered just outside. Suddenly, they skidded to a stop. There were more figures forming ahead, shadows that emerged from every corner, twisting and writhing like smoke. Joey felt the walls closing in again, the weight of despair pressing down, heavier than before. The boy clutched onto him, breaths quickening. "Joey, what do we do?" The boy's voice shook, a mixture of fear and determination. "We fight," Joey replied, voice fierce, defying the darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. "Whatever this place is, it's not going to take us. Not now." Just as he finished speaking, a chilling laughter echoed, the same mocking tone that had haunted them before, reverberating off the crumbling walls. "Welcome to your new reality." The voice called, dripping with malice. Joey's stomach dropped. They weren't just lost, they were trapped. Then, a figure stepped into the dim light, familiar, sinister, the man from before, eyes gleaming with predatory delight. "What a perfect playground," he said, his voice smooth like silk but twisted with threat. Let us see how long you last. The boy whimpered, and in that moment, Joey knew they weren't just fleeing for their lives. They were on the brink of something far more horrific than mere survival. As the man advanced, shadows swirling around him, Joey felt the cold grip of fear tighten around his heart. What could he possibly do against this evil? Get ready! Joey shouted, spirit aflame with defiance. But in his gut, doubt crept in. Would courage be enough against a darkness that seemed to know every weakness? Would they truly escape this nightmare, or had they simply traded one hell for another? The man's smile widened, a chilling invitation to despair. Joey could feel the darkness pressing in, squeezing against his chest, constricting like a vice. He tightened his grip on the pipe, heart pounding with the pulse of survival. The shadows danced around them, closing in, whispering promises of hopelessness. Get away from us! Joey yelled, brandishing the pipe, trying to sound assertive, but his voice broke at the edge of fear. Ah, such spirit, the man replied, stepping closer, the shadows shifting at his command. But this isn't a game you can win. We are far beyond mere escape. The boy hid behind Joey, trembling. What does he mean? I don't know, Joey shot back, but he could feel the fraying strands of his courage. This world was wrong, twisted in a way that gripped his gut with pure terror. He needed a plan, and fast. Before he could think, a shadow lunged at them, a dark form slashing through the air. Joey swung the pipe and connected, sending the figure reeling back. It melted into the darkness before his eyes like a ghost, and Joey's heart raced. There was something tangible in this realm, a way to fight back, even if it felt hopeless. Joey, look! The boy pointed, eyes wide. From the gathering shadows, faint flickers of light began to appear. They resembled memories, faded images of laughter, warmth, and safety. Joey felt the brightness tug at his heart, but doubt surged again. Were these just illusions to lure them deeper into despair? Don't listen to them, the man warned, his voice tinged with venom. Those are the remnants of your past, peering into the abyss. They cannot help you here. But Joey refused to let fear dictate his actions. They needed a way out, and perhaps the shadows could guide them or trap them further. We need to reach the light. He shouted, forgetting how to hold back panic. Follow me. They burst forth from the alley, leaving the man's mocking laughter behind. Joey and the boy ran toward the faint light flickering in the distance, heartbeats syncing with their hurried footsteps. Whatever lay ahead, it felt like a chance, a glimmer of hope amidst the suffocating darkness. As they neared the light, the ground trembled beneath them. The laughter grew louder, claws of despair clawing at Joey's mind. He glanced back, and the man stood still, eerily calm, hands clasped. Run as fast as you can, Joey. This playground has only just begun. Suddenly, the ground split open, a chasm yawning wide, sucking in light and sound. Joey felt his heart drop as he and the boy skidded, losing their footing. They both tumbled helplessly toward the abyss. Don't let go! Joey yelled, reaching for the boy's hand. Losing contact felt like drowning as the world around them spiraled downward. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm him, Joey seized the boy's wrist, pulling with every ounce of strength he could muster. Hold on! The darkness threatened to envelop them, but Joey grit his teeth. We can't give in. With a desperate heave, Joey dragged the boy back from the edge, but the force pulling them was relentless. The shadows whirled with fury, hungry for their fear. Then, a sudden warmth ignited in Joey's chest, radiating outward. He didn't know how or why, but something deep within him sparked a fierce determination born of love, fear, and an unwillingness to surrender. Together! He shouted, feeling the surge of power against the darkness. They could fight back if they stayed united. But just as hope ignited, the shadows shifted again, revealing a flickering face in the depths, a smirk etched with familiarity. Let us see how long that fire lasts, the man taunted, as the darkness twisted to reclaim them. With a final push, Joey and the boy lunged forward, out of the gaping maw of despair. Would they reach the light, or would the shadows consume them whole? Would their bond be enough to withstand the force threatening to tear them apart? Joey didn't know, but he sensed that the next moment whatever it held would either save them or plunge them deeper into hell. They landed hard on solid ground, the impact jarring them back into focus. Dust swirled around them, the remnants of their fall swirling in the dim light. Above them, the chasm still loomed a dark void, hungry and restless. Joey's heart raced as he looked around, desperate for understanding. Is this still the dark place? The boy asked, his voice trembling. Joey took a deep breath, scanning their surroundings. The air was heavy with a metallic taste, and the faint light ahead pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Whatever lay ahead, it beckoned them with a promise of escape. I think so, Joey replied, clutching the pipe tightly, ready for whatever might emerge. They slowly made their way toward the light, each step echoing in the oppressive silence. But the laughter, that malevolent sound, hung in the air, whispering doubts. You think you're safe? You've barely scratched the surface. It was a reminder of the man's words, like a spider wrapping its prey tighter in silk. Joey the boy's voice cracked, interrupting his thoughts. What if we never find the way out? What if those shadows come back? Joey clenched his jaw, forcing back his own fear. We will. We just have to keep moving, he said, even though his heart felt heavy with uncertainty. The shadows loomed just outside their sight, waiting. They pressed on, the light growing brighter yet eerily flickering as if to taunt them. It cast strange shapes on the ground, twisting memories that flickered between the past and present. Joey could feel them tugging at his heart, the faces of loved ones, moments of laughter and joy. Keep your eyes on the light, he urged, pulling the boy forward. But the closer they got, the more doubt crept in, whispering to Joey that they were being led into a trap. Do you remember your dad? The boy suddenly asked, glancing sideways. You said he taught you how to be brave. What would he say now? Memories crashed into Joey like waves. He could picture his father's kind smile, his gentle words that would always bring him comfort. But in this twisted realm, those words felt hollow and distant. He'd tell me to hold on to hope, Joey murmured, as if convincing himself. But just then, the ground beneath them began to tremble. Panic surged in Joey's chest anew as shadows swirled in from all angles, lunging at them like wolves closing in on prey. He swung the pipe again, hitting one, but it only hissed and slithered back into the dark. Joey! The boy screamed, stumbling as shadows clawed at his legs. Joey spun around, and in that moment he realized he couldn't let anything take the boy from him. Hold on to my arm, Joey shouted, grabbing the boy's wrist. With a fierce tug, he pulled him close. We've made it this far, we can get through this. They ran, ignoring the shadows scratching at their backs, pushing forward as the light pulsed more aggressively, now almost blinding. Just as Joey began to lose trust in the path ahead, a nebulous figure emerged within the light, blocking their way. It was a woman, the outline of someone familiar yet untraceable, her face obscured in brightness. Joey, she beckoned, voice soothing but with an undertone of dread. Who are you? He demanded. What do you want? Come closer, dear, she said, and it felt like a melody from a long-lost dream, entwining hope and fear in equal measure. Your heart knows me, but what if I told you the truth about this place? Questions spiraled in Joey's mind. The shadows were closing in with a hissing intensity, and the woman's soft voice promised answers or perhaps another layer of darkness. As Joey hesitated, the boy yanked on his hand. We can't listen to her, he whispered, fear washing over him. But before Joey could decide, the woman's smile shifted. A grim edge surfaced as fiery eyes locked onto his. The shadows howled, hungry for the light she promised. And the moment stretched like an eternity, filled with suspense and dread. Would they dare approach this figure, or would they turn back into the waiting darkness? The weight of the choice hung in the air like an anvil, as the shadows crept. Closer, ready to feast on doubt and fear. Joey's heart pounded as he faced the woman, his mind a flurry of emotions. The air crackled with uncertainty, the shadows hovering at the periphery were as ominous as ever. This woman, she looked familiar. The striking features, the warmth of her voice, it tugged at something deep within him. But the danger lingered thick around them, threatening to snatch them back into the void of despair. "Mom," he whispered, incredulity flooding through him. But that couldn't be, could it? She had been gone for years, lost to illness that had drained every ounce of light away. "You've grown," she said softly, a hint of recognition flashing in her eyes. "But don't let sorrow pull you back. This darkness is all around you, Joey. You must choose which voice to believe." The shadows tangled closer, every hiss punctuating her words like a warning. He felt the boy's hand tighten around his wrist, trembling. "I don't think we should listen." The boy's voice was sharp, infused with a raw and exposed fear that mirrored his own. "No," Joey said, a fervent urgency creeping into his tone. "We can't give in. We've fought too hard." He faced the woman, uncertainty twisting in his gut. If you were her, tell me why all this is happening." The woman stepped forward, the brightness illuminating dark thoughts swirling in Joey's mind. "Joey, this world tests your spirit. The darkness thrives on fear, and your dreams are the battleground. To escape, you must embrace your fears, not shy away from them, and remember who you truly are. You are stronger than this." The shadows pulsed, their whispers growing into chaotic echoes. "You will fail, you will lose, you don't belong here." Joey squeezed the boy's hand tighter as he felt the weight of the place pressing down on them. He recalled his father's words, his mother's love, and a rage surged within. "No!" he shouted defiantly. "I want to let you control me. I want to let you take us." With a renewed sense of purpose, Joey stepped closer to the radiant figure. "You're right. I've been afraid of failure and loss for so long that I almost forgot what I really wanted." He turned to the shadows. "You can't have us." The woman smiled proudly, her figure shimmering like a beacon amidst the chaos. "Then you must confront the darkness, Joey. Only together can you push through." Realizing the power of unity, he pulled the boy closer, and together they faced the menacing void. Shadows writhed and twisted, pressing forward as Joey raised the pipe high, ready to defend. "Hold on to what we've learned," he said fiercely. "Now." In that moment, a wave of warmth surged through him, igniting the resolve he thought he had lost. With a wild swing, he struck at the shadows. "Get back." The impact sent ripples through the dark forms, creating cracks that let in more light. The boy, fueled by Joey's courage, shouted too, "We're not afraid of you." And together, they pressed forward, refusing to be silenced or swallowed. More light spilled from their connection, revitalizing the space and pushing the shadows back. As the light grew brighter, Joey squinted, finding strength in the bond they shared. He could feel his mother's presence guiding him, the lessons he'd learned over years swirling around courage, determination, love. Each one acted as a weapon against the darkness. "This is not the end," he yelled, unleashing everything he had into one final push against the shadows. With a shattering screech, the dark forms dissipated, howling as if losing a battle they could not win. The woman's smile grew broader as the shadows shrank, retreating like a receding tide. "Go on. Keep going," she called out, echoing with acceptance and pride, and as the last of the dark spirits faded into nothingness, light engulfed Joey and the boy, wrapping them in a fierce embrace that felt like home. They caught their breath, panting, but hopeful. Emerging from the void, they stood in a world transformed brighter, filled with possibility. As Joey looked at the boy, his heart swelled with a newfound understanding of what it meant to fight for dreams. They had faced the darkness. They had conquered it. Relief washed over him, a tide of emotions that filled him with gratitude. "Come on," Joey said, "the path ahead clear now. Let us go find our future." The boy nodded, a small smile breaking through his earlier fear. And they walked forward, hand in hand, into a new beginning. That night was behind them, shadows fading with every step. They had a world to rebuild, dreams to chase, and most importantly, a bond forged in adversity. As the sun rose on the horizon, a bright flame igniting the sky, Joey knew that whatever darkness came their way, they would face it together. Don't forget, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of the exclusive stories ahead. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Joey's journey and everything he faced. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. It's the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your commitment makes all the difference.